Hello, everybody, and thank you so much for being here. How is everyone doing today? Hop in the comments. Let me know where you're tuning in from, something you're excited to learn. And if you've attended past Spotlight events or if this is your first event, either way, thank you for being here. Super excited to dive in with you today. Today, we are getting a little bit meta with a live event about how to host live events. But I'm really excited to dig in because running live events just like this one is a fantastic way to grow your email list, create content, create lead magnets. There's so many reasons why hosting live events and getting comfortable hosting live events like we do here at Spotlight is a really valuable tool and skill for any creator or digital entrepreneur. But like I said, before we dive in, hop into the comments. Let me know a little bit about you. We love at all of these events to hear who you are, what challenges you're facing, what your business is about, what your goals are. We want to learn more about you. And at Spotlight, we're dedicated to creating events like this that target some of those challenges that all digital entrepreneurs and creators have as they're building their businesses. And we've talked to hundreds of successful creators. We know what works and what doesn't work. And we love building events like this to make sure that you have all the shortcuts and tools you need to build a successful business online. All that said, we're going to dive in just a second, but I do also want to call out a couple things. First and foremost, I am going to reference a variety of resources that we provided throughout this event. Make sure to check those out in YouTube. They're in the description. You don't need to go to them now, but if you're wondering where those things are as I point to them throughout the event, they're down there. And if you have any questions throughout the event, pop them in the comments. I will do my best to answer them as they come. And even if they're not related to exactly what we're talking about, throw them in there as well. I've allotted some time at the end where I can address any questions that aren't pertinent to exactly what's being talked about in the moment. So all questions welcome. And if this moves a little fast, if you have to get up away from the computer, or if you're watching the replay, that should answer it. There will be a replay available. It'll be on our YouTube page, Spotlight by Teachable on YouTube. It'll be on the spotlightapp.io website, and it'll also be emailed to you along with some other additional resources and goodies if you signed up for the event. And if today isn't enough for you, if you are just fascinated and getting started with building your business, make sure to go to that Spotlight YouTube channel and check out all of the events we've been doing. For the past 2 months, we've been really laser focused on trying to create actionable systems and tools for you to use to build your online business. But we also just have a wealth of interviews with successful creators and a whole lot of value on that Spotlight page. So I know that some of the things I'm going to get into today are going to be kind of high level, general information, but we have done a lot of events diving deeper into all of those things. So go check that out. Without further ado, I want to dive in today. And like I said, we are going to be talking about how to host your first live event, online live event, just like this. And there's a whole bunch of elements there, but more than anything, I just wanted to create a system and a step by step process for you so that you can go out, host a few live events online just like this one and see what value they have to offer. And I also want to make sure that I'm giving you some additional tricks and tools for what to do with that content that you've made, because hosting live events is not just about the live. You are creating content, and there's a lot of value in that replay, that file you have after the live event, and what you can do with it. So let's hop into hosting your first live event. And once again, that comment section is open there. Let me know who you are, where you're tuning in from. If I ever say something you think is crazy, call me out on it. If there's anything you think I missed, let me know. We're all learning together here today, so don't be afraid to chime in. I love that interaction. And if you have any requests, you want me to go back and show a previous slide or dive into something deeper, pop that in there as well. But let's take a look. Here's what we're going to cover today. First, we're going to briefly cover your setup. You likely don't need anything more than a computer, a tablet, or a phone to get started today, but I am going to give you a brief run through of some gear that can really up your live setup. And it's also just gear that is valuable if you're planning on making any sort of video based content. So, we're going to cover that briefly. Then, we are going to cover your offer. You may know what you want to go live for, but it's really important to be able to trim down to a bite sized topic where you can be adding as much value as possible in the half hour or hour that you're going live. There's a few different strategies that depend on how you market it, but ultimately you want to be real clear about the transformation, the offer that you are making for your live event so that you can get people to come and it's appealing and it's a good time. Next, I'm going to give you some systems for how to promote your live event, but more than anything, it's figuring out a reasonable package that works for you. And when you're just starting off, you might be doing a few live events to not a lot of people. But like I said, the goal of a live event is not just the event itself. We are also creating reusable content. So, right away, get out of your mind any worry if anyone shows up, because if nothing else, you are getting in front of the camera, you're getting confident being in front of the camera, and you are creating content that you can use outside of that single half hour or hour you've defined for the live event. And that's when we're going to get to what to do next. So once you have that content, once you've created that content, what can you do with it? I want to give you some actionable tips and tricks so that even, like I said, if you host a live event that doesn't capture a huge audience or doesn't meet your goals as far as how many people attend, you still end up with value and you still end up with something that you can use in a variety of ways. So let's just cruise through the setup aspect quick. And I do want to call out a couple people chiming in here in the comments. Kimberly, awesome to have you here from Texas. Judy, you've been here a bunch at a bunch of these events. It's always a blast having you. You want to create an online course to teach how to correct watercolor. That's awesome. And Judy, I want you to keep in mind throughout this event that hosting a variety of events is a great way to build content for your course. So you don't have to film a course in a vacuum. Keep in your mind that this might be a way you could tackle building that course. Got Lisa here. Lisa, I'm teaching courses on how to be a successful freelance writer, and I'm from upstate New York. Awesome, Lisa. Blast to have you here. Uh, Marilee, I've seen you before. Thank you so much for being here again. And Lay, awesome. Just wanted to catch up with everyone, see that everyone's here before we totally dig in. So let's talk about your live setup. And like I said, if nothing else, the most important thing is just to get comfortable in front of the camera and to be going out today and getting content, building that muscle, building that skill. So this is kind of a baseline level of gear you need. But I will say, once again, just get out there and do it with whatever you have. If you're watching here today, you likely have a phone, a tablet, or a computer that has a camera and a microphone in it. So this is just gear to level up your setup. But at base, whether it's built into your camera, phone, or tablet, you are going to need a microphone, some headphones, especially if you're doing any interviews or anything, that becomes more important because headphones make sure that there's no echo feedback or anything like that. You're going to want a camera and you're going to want some basic lighting. Now, we recently did a whole event about how to sound and look like a pro in all the content you make. I went much more in depth in that event. So if you want more information on any of the gear side of things, go check that out on our YouTube. But I am going to cruise through this briefly just so we have a sense. So first, you're going to need a microphone, but there are plenty of affordable options you can start with. First, you can just use your AirPods. They cover both the headphone and the microphone option, and it is going to be better sound than just what is built into your computer. You can also upgrade with a little shotgun mic, or if you want to go full fledged, have a whole setup, you can get a USB podcasting microphone like I'm using here that'll plug right into your computer, and you'll guarantee that you're getting really high quality audio. All of these are really easy to use, and you can look at this more as like a trajectory. Go out, start your first live event, do it with what you have. And then if you're enjoying it, if you like the content you're creating, but you feel like the quality of it needs to go up, here's a roadmap for you. You can screenshot this, come back to this replay when you're ready to go make those purchases. Next thing, you do want some headphones. If you are just talking to the computer and you're not hosting a live event with anyone else, or you won't be hearing any audio out of your speaker, you don't need the headphones so much. It's more just to make sure that if you have anything that would be coming out of your computer speakers, so guests, an interviewee's voice, or if you're playing any music or anything, you don't want to create a feedback loop where your speakers are going into your mic. So that's what we use headphones for, to have that isolation. So with headphones as well, this is just a roadmap, but start with your AirPods. Like I said, they are both a mic and a headphone, so they're a fantastic choice. And after that, you can upgrade with some nicer headphones if you want. I use the DT770s, but I'm also a music producer and sound engineer, so it's important for me to have good quality headphones. Vanden is, or what? Vandana is asking, I hope I pronounced that right, is asking what kind of microphone, dynamic or other? In general, I would say you want a dynamic microphone. All the microphones I listed, from AirPods all the way through to the podcasting microphone and the shotgun mic, all of those are going to be dynamic microphones. A condenser microphone is another option, but they're a lot more expensive and they're more sensitive. So it depends. If you want a microphone that you don't want on screen, you can go for a condenser mic, but dynamic microphones are going to be really good with that close capture, and they're also better at isolating any other sound out of the room. So whichever style of dynamic mic, yep, and Lisa is saying this exactly right, a dynamic mic will help you reduce noise from your room as well. Yes. So you're going to want to shoot for some kind of dynamic mic, and a Blue Yeti is absolutely okay. Once again, start with what you have. And if you're having, Nancy, if you're having specific problems with your Blue Yeti, pop them in the comments. A Blue Yeti can do everything you need. It's just about figuring out the exact setup if you're not quite happy with the quality. But 100%. And once again, remember, it's just about working with what you have and getting better over time. The next thing you're going to need is for sure a camera. In most cases, you can just use your phone or your computer or a tablet. If you are hosting live events, I don't recommend using the built-in camera on your computer. Um, just because typically they're actually not that good of quality, but you can use your phone as a camera. There's a bunch of fantastic apps out there that allow you to plug your phone into your computer, and then in your live streaming settings, you can choose your phone as the camera. If you're doing that, make sure that you use the back camera. That is the highest quality camera. It's going to get you really high quality video that will be much better than your built-in FaceTime camera if you're using a MacBook or a Chrome tablet or anything like that. So having an external camera is a fantastic option. And then once again, there are some upgrades down the line. A GoPro is a fantastic option, especially if you're going to just be making YouTube videos as well, or other things like that. They're high quality and you can plug them into your computer as your streaming camera. And if you go to the top level, you get a DSLR. That is where you're going to get this really nice effect like I have, where you have that blurred background. Although an iPhone 13 and above will also do that, so you may not even need a camera to do so. Next, you need lighting. Now, I'm not necessarily talking about you need to go out and buy a bunch of lights. At very base, you just need to position yourself well with the natural light you have around your house. So if you don't have the budget at the moment, or if you don't like the lighting you have, always try just setting yourself in front of a window as your first option. Natural light is beautiful and it can be used really, really well. Merrily, 100% want to call this out. We use camera for live events and Zooms, gotten good reviews from viewers. I use camo if I am traveling or out. Camo is fantastic. And yes, my top choice. I didn't want to endorse them 100% right here just because, depending on your platform, people need to find whatever works for them. But camo is absolutely awesome and allows you to change a lot of the settings on your camera from your computer. So you can set the camera up and you don't have to go back and forth. Bandana Camo is the software that controls allowing you to use your phone camera as your streaming camera. So you can't just natively do that in most streaming software. You need to actually have third-party software that routes your phone camera to your computer. But if you go look it up, it's super easy to use. All you need to do is plug your phone in, and it works fantastic. That said, back to lighting. If you don't have a lot of money or don't or are just testing out live events, just start with the natural light around your house. The next step up is a ring light. They are super affordable and work really, really well. Make sure to take a little fiddling back and forth between your camera settings and the light so you don't get like blown out or overexposed. But a ring light is super popular just because it does work really, really well. Past that, if you're really getting into doing live events regularly, like I do here, you will want to eventually get a few standing lights, LED panels, things like that, so you can actually create a quality lighting setup with a few different light sources. That's how I am getting an even lighting across my whole face here. I have a light that's up there, I have a light that's here, and I have a light up and behind me to help draw me out of the background. So that's if you're getting to the pro level. But again, I'm just letting you know these are stages in your process. Start by just hosting live events, start by making it, and you can always make the quality of it better. Focus on the content first. Um, this is a great question. Vandana is saying, do you recommend a certain size of ring light or a specific number of them? The bigger the ring light, the more coverage you will get. So the bigger ring lights will give you what I think is better quality lighting. I don't necessarily recommend using a bunch of different ring lights. Ring lights are fantastic for what they're made for, which is having one ring light set up in front of you. You get that beautiful, even lighting, and you get the nice little like iris glint as well, which brings the eyes out for an individual. So start just with the one ring light. If you're actually trying to upgrade to a multi-light setup, gonna want to go for LED panels or other options like that, as they get better coverage and they're better spread. But if you can swing buying one of the larger ring lights, the 12 to 18 inches is going to give you really high quality open lighting that covers all of your face. So, when it comes to lighting as well, ideally you're just going to have a window, a clean background, some plants or lamps for your actual background, and enough space between you and the camera. One of the biggest mistakes I see creators make right off the bat, and I'm sure everyone's seen this in a Zoom meeting or a live event, is they're just too close to the camera. You don't get a sense for their body or their hands. So make sure that you can place your camera far enough away that you get at least a mid chest up level of your body. I always think it's so much more engaging when you can see people's hands and stuff. And if you're going to reuse this content, it's important to think if you were going to crop anything vertically for Reels or for TikTok, you want to make sure that it's not too zoomed in that you can't make a good cropped video and it's going to still be engaging. So having a little more distance is going to allow you to do all of that. And then just to give you some basic layout theory here, if you've done any videotaping before, this may seem absolutely baseline information. Um, but we're going to need to just hone this in because I see a lot of people making mistakes here. I do want to answer a few questions coming in here. Are there different types of ring lights like fluorescent versus white versus warm, etc.? There are, but for the most part, especially if you're getting those larger ring lights, you're going to end up with something where you can change well, let me answer this in two parts. No, for the most part, most ring lights are LED lights. As far as the actual quality that comes out of the light, warm versus cold light, most of the nicer ring lights are going to have the ability to change the white balance. So they'll have warm and cold LEDs, and you can blend them till you get just the right white balance. So you don't look, too pale or like you have a ridiculous spray on tan. Hopefully that answers your question, Bandana. If you have any more questions, keep them coming. And Lisa, just affirming this, great point. Hadn't thought of the vertical crop for repurposing. Yes, that is one of my biggest reasons for giving yourself a little more space away from the camera itself is if you want to repurpose any of this footage, it's absolutely critical to make sure you have enough space. That said, you don't want to be miles away from the camera screaming at people from a distance. But like I have here, just a good fill where there's like a third of the screen that's empty on either side, and I am a third of the screen. That's going to allow me to get a good quality vertical crop if reusing any of that content. So the big point here, just in your layout, is whether it's a window or a light, you want the order of operations to be your lighting source, then your camera, then you. If you get bigger lights and stuff like that, your camera might be further away, a variety of that. But my big point here is just I see a lot of people put the window or the light right next to them, and you can experiment if you're looking for a certain vibe or feel, but ultimately you want the source as much in front of you, providing that even good quality light. If you want any more information about creating a beautiful setup for YouTube videos or for going live like this, go check out Kevin Shen. You can look up Kevin Shen on our YouTube channel. There's a little search bar in the top right of our channel where you can just see past events we've done with Kevin. We've done a few events diving into all of the aspects of creating a beautiful setup, or just go search Kevin Shen's YouTube channel itself. He works tirelessly to put out content that helps creators really have high quality video and audio. And he is a number one resource for me. He helped me build my setup right now, which I am pretty happy with and think looks pretty darn good. Still always working on it. But all of these elements about having a balanced and clean background, sitting far enough away from the camera and far enough from the background so you get nice separation. If you are interested in leveling up your live setup, Kevin Shen is an incredible resource, and most of his learning is free on YouTube. If you want to get in depth, he does have online courses and further ways to engage if you're really committed to it. But right off the bat, highly recommend checking out any of his information. If you're really wondering about any of the challenges you're having or gear reviews, anything like that, Kevin is awesome. Okay, so we covered the basic setup. If you have any further questions about setup, feel free to pop them in the comments. But once again, I just wanted to get you familiar with the basic tools you're going to need. At the end of the day, you can do all of that with an iPhone and a cheap pair of headphones. Your iPhone is a camera, it's a microphone, and with AirPods that plug in or are Bluetooth, you have everything you need. You just need a window so you get some decent light. And you could replace a window with a light in your house if it's bright enough. The last thing I'll say with gear is it takes time to build a quality setup. I've been doing this for over 2 decades. And yes, now I have my DSLR and all this fancy stuff. So just give yourself a break, focus on the actual content of your live event, and improve your setup as you go. Now, the next thing, like I said, that you're going to need is to clarify your offer. A lot of people struggle with getting people into their live events at first or creating compelling content because they are shooting for too much in one event. They're trying to tackle too big of a problem. And they also maybe haven't distilled that problem into a clear, simple, easy way to communicate it. Whether you're promoting on your website, by email, or with your social, people need to be able to skim quickly and know exactly what your live event is for and exactly what you're about. So, if you want to have a good live event, you need to first focus on solving a problem. Yes, you can go live and just talk about a bunch of different things, a bunch of different aspects. But if you are clearly saying in this half hour, in this hour, I'm going to solve a problem for you, like we're doing today, I want to solve the problem of anyone who doesn't know what they need or how to host an online event. That's the problem we're solving today. Tried to boil it down to a palatable problem. If you don't know exactly what that bite sized problem is, you can use a couple methods for finding it. First, just reflect on the things that your coworkers, your family members, your community has maybe asked you for help with in the past. If anyone has asked you to help them with something, that is at least one person who sees you as an authority in that field. And that's an opportunity to go host an online event around that specific problem. And remember, throughout the process, take it down, make it simple. The next thing you can do is reach out either to your social media, your family, your coworkers, and ask what problems they might have within the field that you want to teach or you want to host your event about. And the third tool is always just the internet, the ability to search, but not just on Google. Go to the spaces where your audience is active. So if you have Facebook groups, Reddit threads, Twitter threads, places where your ideal audience is already engaged, go there and look for the comments and the problems that people are expressing there. People are very good at expressing what they're struggling with in life on the internet. It is a kvetching mega house, but that also means that it's a wildly useful resource for you. But beware of just searching things in Google. You're going to be much better off going into the spaces and seeing where people are already engaging and what problems they have there. And like I've been saying this whole time, keep it simple. So if you want to host a live event, if your goal is to help people build their own online business, or we can use Judy here. If you want to teach people about how to paint watercolor, don't just have an event about watercolor. Make sure to trim it down. Maybe say blending highlights with watercolor, how to blend highlights with watercolor, or something like that. Try and reduce it down. Or and we'll do another one like Lisa. If you want to host online events about being a freelance writer, maybe target a specific little aspect like capturing your first client as a freelance writer or how to write copy for Instagram captions. Make sure to reduce down your problem so that you are just tackling one little aspect of the greater problem. This is going to do two things. It's going to make it much easier for you to deliver positive transformation in just a half hour to an hour. And it's also going to allow you to hone in and refine the individual aspects of the bigger problem so that as you solve all these little problems for people, you're building a content chain, you're building a wealth of information that overall works to solve the bigger problem. So keep things simple. It's better to have a live event that's short and sweet and transformative than a long blabber fest. So it's going to take a while to develop that muscle as well, but you can always just ask yourself, did I learn this in an hour? Can you learn this in an hour? What is the minimum amount of time it takes to solve that problem? And if it's over an hour, you need to make the problem smaller. Look for the other problems inside of that problem and focus on those. Focus on transformation. So, when you're ready to market and deliver your idea, which we'll talk about promotion in a minute, but getting clarity on how you communicate that idea is super important for how you talk about it online, how you promote it, and for your own accountability, making sure that as you build your live event and script it or make your notes, make your presentation, you have a point of reference to make sure that you are staying on track and you are delivering what you're promising to your audience. So, if you've been at past Spotlight events, I'm sure you've seen this. This is what I call a transformational mantra. I recommend this in many situations as a broader tool for your entire business, but also for each live event. This is a tool that you can straight up copy and paste and go and use. Screenshot this, save it, make sure this is on hand for you. Essentially, this is just a one sentence summary of exactly what you are trying to do with your live event. So I am helping blank who suffer with the problem that you found become the transformation. So, my general larger phrase, I want to show you kind of the various levels, is I am helping passionate musicians who struggle to produce professional quality music become skilled and confident producers. If I wanted to trim that down into a single live event, I would say I am helping passionate musicians who struggle to get started with Logic Pro, that software you use to produce music, um, become confident in the basics right away. Right. So just trim it down, trim it down. If we use these other examples as well, like Judy or Lisa, we could say for Judy, you could say, I am helping beginner water painters who struggle understanding shading highlights become confident, become confident painters in an hour, right? You're going to have to play with what the right phrase is, but play with it, work through it, maybe do 3 or 4 versions before you find one that clearly translates exactly the transformation that you're proposing in that hour, half hour, however long your live event is. So I want you to hold on to this. This is the tool you're going to use to determine exactly what your live event is about for yourself and then to go communicate it. And then the next step is how to promote. And I am going to call back that when you start doing these live events, you are likely not going to get a lot of people unless you've already built a giant audience or if you have a massive ad budget to take out ads on Facebook. You're probably going to be starting from a place with 2 to 5 people at a time. But again, just sit with the confidence and the clarity that this isn't just about the live event. Yes, the live event is a fantastic tool, but we're really capturing content here. So, right off the bat, just want to continue to hearken to that because I don't want you to feel like you have to wait until you have an audience of a certain size to start going live. Going live can be part of how you get that audience. So, your goal throughout hosting your live event and your promotional goal for your live event is ultimately to capture emails. We're talking about recognizing where in the funnel your live event is. And when it comes to the actual live event itself, it's going to be at the top of your funnel. If you're not familiar with what an email funnel is, please go check out some past Spotlight events. We've done a bunch of events specifically just about email marketing. But when it comes to hosting live events, it's really important not to get caught up with thinking about how many people show up or how many followers or likes your live event has. If you want to actually be growing an audience that you can sell products to, your goal with live events has to be to capture emails. And there are a few different ways to do this, but if you have any debate about this or you think I'm crazy, there's just a few stats for email marketing, and it's what we're trying to do. We're trying to own our email list and have an audience that is ours to communicate with. Email has the largest audience, it's the easiest to grow, it's the preferred method for almost all marketers, and it has powerful customization. So you can screenshot this or come back to this if you think I'm crazy, but email is our goal. However, if you want to capture emails, you need to be promising more usually than just the event itself. There's a couple ways that we can capture emails when hosting a live event. First off, if you're hosting on Zoom or private services, I'll cover some of those strategies in a minute. But if you're hosting in a scenario where you need to send someone a link to the live event, sometimes that can be enough, just access to the live event. So you're telling people on this time and date, I will be hosting this event, and you need to subscribe to my email list to get access to it. I'll email you a link to the event. That's one way to go live. And that's one way to capture an email. However, you are going to want to use some combination of these things. Another way is to promote additional content. So if you have a PDF lead magnet or other pieces of value, or even if just your newsletter has value, you can say, attend this live event. For anyone that attends, drop in your email here and you'll get an extra bonus. You'll get additional content. That's another way to capture emails with your live event. You're basically using the live event to promote a free product that then captures emails. Another way to capture emails is just with the replay. So you can say, yes, anyone can attend this live event live, but if you want to have access to the replay, you have to put in your email. I'll send you that down the road. And the last tool you have is just to say, if you attend this live event, at the end of the event or at any point, I'm going to be offering discount codes or special offers, things like that. Once again, you can use all of these in combination to create a very valuable event. You can say to people that they need to put it by putting in their email, they're going to first and foremost get access to the event. They'll also get additional content and access to the replay. And if they stick around till the end of the event, you'll be sharing a coupon code or something like that. So these are a tool chest for you, and using some combination of these throughout your journey. It can be different for every live event. You should test a couple different ideas before you come to any conclusions about what works best for your platform. But I want you just to know that these are on hand, the tools you're going to use to capture emails with your live event. The next thing you need to determine is, what is your strategy? And this is going to be part of determining how and what value you are proposing through your live event. So these are just a couple general ideas, and we'll talk about how these play out on the platforms you choose to stream on in a second. But basically, you can have an open Q&A or an open topic. So this is streaming live on an open platform like Instagram Live, like TikTok Live, somewhere where you cannot email gate access to the event and you're just going live. An open Q&A would just be simply saying, like, I'm going to go live Friday at 2 and answer any and all questions you have about music production. It's just open to the public. I'm going to want to use some other method, like maybe in my live event, promoting my lead magnets, promoting my newsletter, other things like that. So it is a little more casual, but also a little easier to get going. So if you're just new to going live, this is a great way to build your confidence. And it works a little better to have just a dialogue since people are commenting actively as you're going. The other option, which is similar, as in it's still on an open platform, is just an open topic. So at Friday at 2, I'm going to be talking about everything music production. You can combine any of these as well. So you can talk for a little and then do a Q&A, something like that. But the key is that those two options are open. You're just going live. And that's going to determine what value you choose to promote to capture an email. The other two options are essentially the same, but on a closed platform. So you're restricting access to the live event itself. That gives you the ability to collect those emails right off the bat, but it does take a little more setup. You're going to need a system for email gating the event itself, and you're going to need systems for adding those people to your email list and following up with them to make sure that everyone has everything they need to attend. So, although the closed options work better for our email capture down the line, they do require a little more setup. So, we're going to first talk about the open topic or the open Q&A, what tools you can use. You can use Instagram, you can use TikTok, you can use YouTube. There's of course a bunch more available, but basically all of them are just going live at a certain date and time and just putting yourself out there. The beauty of Instagram and TikTok is they're extremely casual. A lot of creators do well just going live on TikTok when they're cooking or working or hanging out, and you're really just being present on the platform, answering questions, maybe promoting things yourself. So it is easier to get started, but you are going to have to work harder to promote that additional value. So if you are just going live, you can do it just to boost your algorithm, boost the numbers and all of that. But you should have in mind, what is that item? What is the value you are offering so you can collect emails while going live? If you're just going live to boost your follower count or try and hit the algorithm right, you're going to be chasing that dragon forever. It's going to be so much more profitable, even if you only get one or two emails in a half hour or an hour of going live. Those are people who are interested. And even if you don't sell to them right away, they will pay you back for that time down the line by having their email and being able to market to them directly. So these are great options for just putting yourself out there and going out there. As far as which one to use, if you're just doing an open stream like this, choose whichever one your audience is most engaged with. So if you have a little following on Instagram, go there. If you have a little following on TikTok, go there. If YouTube is your bread and butter, go work there. The one thing I'll say is, Instagram and TikTok, any of those social apps are going to natively stream in that vertical format. So if you're interested in reusing that content, it's less versatile down the line. The one beauty of using YouTube or any horizontal streaming platform is you now have created content that's available both for horizontal and vertical. But all of them do allow you to film those live events and make sure that you have that content down the road. Make sure you have those settings activated, because the worst thing you can do is be going live regularly and not capturing that as content that you can use down the line. Um, so Lisa Ross is saying, would Twitch apply here to the open stream category? Yes, it would, although Twitch and YouTube kind of fall into both categories, because with Twitch or YouTube, you can set those links to either public or private. So it depends on how you promote that. That's why you'll see, well, I'll talk about that in a second. Let's follow this chain through. So, if you're open streaming, you are going to have to focus your value to catch emails in the additional content and the replay. But these are easy things to promote. If you're going live, you can say, hey, throw in, if you can't attend the actual event itself, or if you want a replay in the future, pop your email into the link in my bio. Or if anyone who attends the live event and puts their email in here, will get the replay and additional value, things like that. So you're going to want to focus on those for open streaming. For closed streaming, and just to follow through with Lisa's question, YouTube does work as well, because you could host a live session as an unlisted or private video, and that way it won't just be streaming open on YouTube, and people will have to have a link to the live event in order to attend. So if YouTube is a good space for you, I do recommend it, because you do have the horizontal format, which then gives you the choice of vertical or horizontal. The quality is really good. It's easy to manage with the comments and everything, and you can experiment with open or closed. So if you're doing a YouTube stream and you just mark it as unlisted when you create the event, then you can market it telling people, okay, I'm doing this event at this time, and if you drop in your email, you'll be sent the link. The other kind of format, which is a little more like coaching versus just a live event, is to use Zoom or Google Meets, these places where people actually need a private invitation to attend. This is going to take a little more work and it's a little more personal. So if you don't have much of an audience or you're not getting a lot of people attending at first, it could be easier to notice that when you're in Zoom or Google Meets because people actually have their cameras showing and all of that. When you're just streaming to YouTube or these other platforms, even when there are a lot of people there, all you're seeing is comments. So it's a little less personal, easier to ignore the lack of people. But if you're interested in having more personal interactions and doing more of a coaching style live event, Zoom and Google Meets are fantastic. The other advantage of that is you are filming the live event, you're recording the live event, and you are also capturing people's interactions, questions, aspects like that. So down the road, if you want to reach out to those people and ask if you can use their transformations, their discoveries throughout those events as social proof, as testimonials and things like that, there are advantages to having that more personal interaction. Also, if it just feels more comfortable for you to be one on one with people, those are great options. Either way, using these closed streaming platforms does open up all of the possible value you could offer because you can say, okay, Friday at 2 o'clock, I'm doing an event helping struggling music producers wrap their head around recording in Logic Pro. You're going to need to drop your email in to get access to the event, but you'll also get my free Logic Pro template. If you sign up, you'll get a replay to it and you'll get some exclusive offers by attending the event. So ultimately, working towards a closed model is valuable. Or you can do what we do here at Spotlight, which is a little bit of a combination. We host our events on YouTube, they stream to YouTube and our event pages, and we ask people to sign up for those events so that they can get the replay and they can get additional resources. We make sure to follow up with everyone who's attended these events and provide them relevant and powerful resources that they can action on after the event. So they're not just seeing the event, they're actually taking that information and putting it to use. But you are going to want to, if it hasn't been clear by now, you are going to want to email gate your value. So if you're promising additional PDFs, additional mini courses, any additional lead magnets, make sure that you are capturing people's emails to do so. You don't want to just do this with Gmail or something or ask people just to give you their email. You want to use um, this information like a CRM or an email service. Any email service like MailChimp or Flowdesk or ConvertKit will allow you the ability to create a form that someone fills out to sign up for something, and then you'll capture their email into your email list. And you can even automate the delivery of these links and stuff. So if you are expecting to have even 10 or more people at these events, those systems being set up and automated is going to make your life so much easier. Vandana is asking, can you tell if a YouTube event is open or closed? Somewhat essentially, if you host an unlisted YouTube event, it just won't show up for anyone who has the link. So it's not that it shows up as closed, they just won't be able to see it unless you've sent them the link. So it's a little trickier than that. It's not like you can it's not so much as like having an event that says open or closed. It's just their access is restricted by the ability of having the link. Hopefully that makes sense, Vandana. Let me know if that didn't answer your question. And then the next thing is just the baseline level of promotion. So add the upcoming event to your link tree so you can easily reference it on social media. If you don't have a link tree, just make the event your link in bio and reference that in posts and stories and promotion. Put the live event on your website and tell people about it. Generate posts and content promoting it. Just hosting the live event, just putting it up is not enough. You have to get people excited about the event and you have to promote it. If you don't promote it and you don't get anyone to your event, no big surprise. Really no surprise there. Now, if you want to go above and beyond, and these are all as well additional tools that you can use text and email first and foremost. If you have an email list or a text based like email list, let those people know. Yes, we want to capture new emails, but we also want to continue to reward and nurture our existing list. So, whether it's people on your list or just individual friends or family or community members you think would be interested, let them know, especially when you're starting out. It's going to be boots on the ground. You've got to get comfortable with just telling people what you're up to. And it's not like you're going out there and like yeah, nothing that bad can happen. So don't be afraid to tell people what you're doing. You never know who might be interested, and always ask them to share. So you can definitely say, "Hey, I'm doing this thing Friday at 2. It's for musicians who need help getting started with Logic Pro. If that sounds like you, please consider coming and attending or signing up for the replay. If it's not you, but you think you know someone, please forward this to them." I see so many creators fail to include a share article in any of their promotion, and you're missing out on a huge opportunity. Because if you can't think of someone who may be interested, it's likely that your friends and community has people in those third, fourth, fifth rungs of connection who are interested, and every individual counts. Another way to promote your events if you're just getting started is to offer cross promotion. So you can reach out to other creators at your level or a little bit above and say, "Hey, if you're willing to post a story or send an email to your list or make a post promoting my live event, I'll call you out in the live event and I'll post some stories as well." So, no money involved, just trading spots in your audience for other spots in your audience. Don't be afraid to reach out to creators that have a larger following than you. You would be surprised how many people, first and foremost, love the flattery, love anyone who knows what they're doing and wants to get involved, but also just it, everyone is hungry for new leads and new opportunities. So a big creator might have no problem posting a little story for your event, because even if they only get 5 to 10 people coming back their way, it's no skin off their back to make a quick little post. The next thing you can do, which is a little more involved, but a great way to capture two people's audience, combine forces, is to co host. So reach out to other creators in your field and ask if they would like to go live with you. There's a bunch of tools to do this, whether it's StreamYard, like we live, like, or like we use here, or plenty of other platforms. StreamYard allows multiple people to come together and host an event. You can stream it to YouTube, to Instagram, to multiple places at the same time. So if you're getting into co-hosting, there's really simple tools that allow you to do that really easily. And then you do have the advantage of reaching two audiences. This is also a great way just to grow your community. Every creator that you work with is going to be someone who in the future is an opportunity to co-promote with, and they're likely going to be thrilled when you say, "Hey, I'm an expert on this part of this problem, you're an expert on that part of the problem. Can we come together and create a live event that's really going to provide all aspects of value?" And the last thing you can do, which I am not going to sit on that much because I don't think you should do this unless you have a clear strategy in mind, or unless you just have cash to burn and don't care, but you can take out Facebook or Instagram ads for your live events. You can use this in conjunction with other promotional methods. I highly discourage using ads as your only promotional method, because you're just basically choosing to spend money rather than using opportunities where you don't have to. But they can be a great supplemental tool. Just be very specific with your ads, targeting exactly the people you want to show up to that event, because you don't want to have an event with a bunch of random people who are disappointed by the event because it didn't reach exactly what they want. Target exactly the audience you want to come there, because if you capture their emails, you want to make sure it's not just a follower or someone who tuned in just for the event, but someone who's going to be interested in the long run. The last thing I can tell you, after you have all of these systems in place, after you have everything set up and ready to go and you've booked your live event is you just have to do it. One of the biggest problems I see is creators getting everything set up and then getting stage fright in the last minute and dipping out of the event or saying, oh, well, we only got 2 or 3 registrations, so I'm not going to do the event. But once again, you're not just doing the live event, you're capturing content, you're honing your comfort in front of the camera, you're building a skill set that is highly valuable when it comes to marketing your business and your brand down the line. So, really, just do it. Start hosting live events, start putting them out there, experiment with a bunch of different kinds, and use a variety of the tools. If you're just starting out, take all these little tools I've given you and put them in different combinations for each live event. Experiment. Don't just do it once and say, oh, it didn't go great, right? It's going to take a while before you're comfortable in front of the camera. You are creating clear value that you communicate correctly and your audience gets excited about, and before you have a lot of people coming to your live events. So show up every time excited about the topic and ready to go, regardless of if there's hundreds or one person there. Even if all you do in a half hour is capture one person's email or help one person through a transformation, if you are recording that content, you are creating value for your business and for that person. So let me know in the comments if this is all making sense, if there's any residual questions from any of this so far. But the last thing I want to cover in the last few minutes we have is what to do with it next. So, like I said, make sure that you are recording these live events. You're really defeating half of the purpose of these live events if you're not. So, whether it's on any of these platforms, make sure that they are recording the live event and you will have access to that raw video later because you created content. Rather than having to sit in a vacuum and try and record a YouTube video or come up with something, the beauty of live events is you can serve so many purposes at once. So once you have that live event replay, once again, the replay alone can be valuable. So once you record your live event, you can take that replay and send it to your email list. You can cut it up and use it as snippets or for reels or TikToks. You can also transcribe some of your teaching if you felt like you said something really well and put it into a blog post. Or you can just chop it up and use it as a wealth of content wherever you need it on social media. I think it is so much easier to go live with a purpose and clear value, interact with people, work with people, and then turn that into quality content rather than just sitting in your phone trying to go viral. That's going to be a lot more difficult. So, a couple ways, once again, that you can reuse this content. You can promote the replay. You can chop it into TikToks and Reels. You can take your replay, put it on an email gate, and use the replay as a lead magnet. So, that alone can be a lead magnet. You can say, drop your email here to watch this hour-long webinar. That can be a valuable, like, lead magnet in itself. And the last and one of my favorite options is you can take your live event, if it's an hour or so, it has to kind of at least be an hour to do this well, and you can edit that video into a mini course, which is a high value lead magnet that attracts high quality clients. So whether it's one live event or multiple live events, you can take them and then structure each of those little problems you've solved into a mini course that solves a bigger problem, right? So we can be thinking about how we take all of these little problems that we solve in each live event and package them into something bigger, more valuable. That mini course can either be a free lead magnet or it could be something you charge. So I know there's a few people who have been in these events where that are interested in building courses, And this is a great way to build your first course, is just to host live events for each section, and then you take those live events, chop it up, and make it into your course. It's a lot easier than sitting in front of the camera and just recording a lesson for your course. So I just want to call that out, that I really do think all of these are, if you're doing a really good job, you're taking every live event you do and you're doing all of these things with it, because then you are getting the most value out of that half hour or hour you spent hosting the live event. If you want a solid system for taking a PDF, for creating a PDF lead magnet, turning that into a live event, and then turning that into a mini course in a rotating cycle that is valuable for creating 3 different lead magnets and high powered leads at the same time, go back and check out on the Spotlight YouTube. We did an event recently exactly about this that walks deeper into every aspect of that. And I highly recommend checking it out. Once again, this is a system where you can, in one workflow, create 3 powerful lead magnets at the same time and be reusing all of your content. And the beauty of it is, as you get better at it, as your products get better, as your business gets larger and your audience grows, you can start charging for any one of these. You can start selling PDFs, you can start charging money to attend your live events, and you can definitely charge at least a little bit for a mini course. So there's also opportunity throughout this cycle to make some money. We dive more into that in that event itself, but go cruise the Spotlight YouTube to find that event, and it'll give you an in-depth training on how to do this system. And once again, I just want to call back. Remember that whatever you do throughout every piece of content you make, anything you create, any post you make, everything you do should still ultimately be leading to collecting emails. There are creators out there with massive audiences who are missing out on major marketing opportunities because they're not collecting emails. And if nothing else, I just can't accentuate enough, email is the only platform that you own. Facebook could change their policy tomorrow. YouTube could disappear tomorrow. Any of these other platforms can change the way they function, and it can have major effects on your business if you don't have a focus of grabbing emails and if an email list isn't your ultimate marketing goal. Followers aren't customers, emails can be. So I just want to call that out to hone in on that concept. Live events are powerful. If you haven't learned this yet, I just want to summarize why I love live events as a system for growing your audience. It allows you to build trust by having face time with your audience and helps establish you as an expert. It gives you the opportunity to capture email leads. Like I've been saying, that's your goal throughout the whole process. It gives you the automatic content capture. So you're doing 2 things at once by capturing leads, hosting the live event, and creating content you can reuse. And down the line, as your audience grows, as things morph and your business gets more powerful, you can start charging for the live events, for the content, for the value that you're offering, and get a little money so that you can afford upgrading your setup. You can afford all of this. So, once again, you don't need a fancy setup to get started and to be hosting great live events. Get out there, host live events, capture emails, and then get to that point where you start charging for all of these things. You make a little money and then upgrade your setup. And when you're ready to share, whether you want to distribute PDFs, whether you want to build mini courses, any of those aspects, Teachable is a fantastic place to do so. And you can get started on Teachable for free today. And that's not a free trial. Teachable actually has a free account that allows you to build a course and get started with all of these aspects. The link is in the description, and there is no risk and there's no harm done by getting on the platform and and getting familiar with it right away. And if you need a little help getting started with Teachable, we at Spotlight built a mini course 100% for you. It's also linked in the description. It's called Establish Your Internet Home Base on Teachable, where in 5 days we teach you how to build a beautiful homepage with a lead capture form so you can start growing your audience. But I also do want to call out that even if you already have a Teachable account and you're interested in building mini courses as lead magnets, go check out that mini course and look at how we structured it and how we built it. It should serve as a good example for you, where even if you already have the basics set up on Teachable, but you haven't put a course together, go look at that mini course from a critical eye, sign up for it, work your way through it, and feel free to model your mini courses exactly off of it. It's a great model, and it's been working really well for us to provide a lot of value in a short amount of time. Now, I want to make sure that I answer some of the questions coming in. Um, if the I just want to check in on any of this. Oh, Lisa's great sentiment. This series is on my must watch all the videos list out. Thank you so much for doing this. Thank you for being here, Lisa. So many YouTubers doing this have a 25K setup, and it makes me cry. I know the feeling, and I know it feels like you need that to get started sometimes, but I'm going to call anyone out who says you do, that's an excuse. If you have a phone, you can get started right away, work your way up, get comfortable with being on camera. And when you're at that point where you're like, I'm 100% confident, I know how to do these events, I'm tackling good problems, I'm doing all of this, then upgrade your setup to match the quality of your content. But your first focus should just be trimming down to clear problems that you can solve in a reasonable amount of time and figuring out your systems for capturing emails, offering value, and what is going to work best for you. Then you can grow, get all the other stuff as you go, and hopefully buy that stuff with the money you have. I will say nowadays that even if you do want a full level setup like I have with the camera and all the lights and stuff, if you penny pinch and you look for used gear and all of that, you can do it all for about $1,000. There are cheap ways to do it, and $1,000 is cheaper than an iPhone. So you can always argue that you may have that budget. If you're able to get an iPhone, you're able to do that. Couple other things here. Marilee Jacob is asking, we have been doing this since March 2020 lockdown. The first week or two was a little train wreck, and then we continue. Yes, I love this sentiment. Yes, just you got to get out there, get started, way to stick with it, and it gets better over time. Um, why live versus pre-recorded? Vandana is asking. Oh, I think it just depends on the format. I think going live trains you a lot better just to be comfortable in front of the camera. I also think there's a little more opportunity for engagement with live. Having a live Q&A versus just responding to comments has a different energy. And I think just the energy of a live event is a good thing for creators to get into. Plus, if you do go live, it does provide a little algorithm boost, and a lot of the platforms do like that format. So it's a little more personal. It has a little more variety to me, but ultimately, we're talking about potentially both, right? So you can go live. Now that's pre recorded. Now you can promote a pre recorded video. Or you could even combine it all together. So you go live in a closed event, you send that to a video editor who edits it together into a 5-minute YouTube video or something like that, that you then put up as your pre-recorded content. The point of the live is I think it's just a great format to experiment with, and easier to get started than making fantastic short form YouTube videos pre-recorded right off the bat. But point being, Vandana, we're kind of doing both when we do a live event. And then Lisa Ross was saying, I'm still afraid to start. I know I have to. I do stuff all the time that I don't publish, just share with the team. Lisa, just get out there. This is another reason why I love live, is because you are committing to delivering something in that moment. You can't sit there being like, oh, I'll put out a YouTube video later. I'll put it out later. I'll put it out later. You've committed to a time and place to show up and do it. Once you do that, it's going to be so much easier. And Lisa Ross, I just want to call out what I did just say too. If your goal is to make more content, live events are one of the best systems because you can go live and then chop that into so many other pieces of content later. So it really ends up being easier than struggling with creating one piece of content at a time. However, all that said, we are over time today, so I'm going to wrap up. But thank you all so much for being here. Let me know if this was helpful in the comments. Let me know if there was anything I missed or you would like more detail on, any challenges related to this event or other topics around your online business that you're struggling with. We want to build all of these events based off of real challenges that you're having. So, voicing those challenges, make sure that we can deliver fantastic content. Um, do you have to be a member on Teachable to see Spotlight? No, you don't. But when you, Judy, I'm not 100% sure where that question is coming from. So be a little more specific if I can. I'm not sure exactly what you're referencing, but I will come back to that comment. But once again, thank you all for being here. Please go check out those additional resources in the description. You can sign up for a Teachable account completely for free, get familiar with the platform, know what you're doing so that when you're ready to build courses, coaching products, anything like that, you're not having to learn a new platform while distributing that information. Check out that mini course, whether it's because you want to get started on Teachable or you just want to see what a quality mini course can look like, how to structure it, what tools to put inside of that course. Go check that out. And then you can also download a free PDF we have in the description as well called How to Sell an Online Course. That is its general idea, but there's a ton of additional resources in there, and it works as a great roadmap for you, just what each step of your process should be if your goal is to eventually build courses or coaching products. That's there for you for free. We didn't even email get that one, which I know is against our own advice, but we just wanted you to be able to have it. And if you enjoyed today's event, please like and subscribe to the Spotlight YouTube channel. Make sure to turn the notifications on so you get told when we have uploaded new events and we're hosting new events. And you can also sign up for the Spotlight newsletter with the link at the bottom of the description there. That way, you'll just get regular updates about new events and new mini courses and new discounts and offers that we are offering here at Spotlight right to your inbox. We don't spam you. We work really hard to make sure that every email we send is providing value and giving you the tools you need to build your successful online business. But we have to go for today. Thank you so much again. I'll see you all very soon. It's always a blast hanging out with you, and have a wonderful day. We'll see you soon.